Americans need to get out and vote. That's the message from hundreds of CEOs across the country who have pledged to support their employees' constitutional right to cast a ballot. Workers shouldn't have to choose between earning a paycheck and voting, says J.J. Huggins, a spokesman for Patagonia, a global outdoor clothing and equipment company with about 2,000 employees in the United States. Patagonia's CEO gave all its employees a paid day off on Election Day in 2016.
By doing that, she was telling the Patagonia workforce that on Election Day, nothing is more important than getting out there and casting your ballot.
Patagonia, which describes itself as an activist company, is co-founder of Time to Vote, a nonpartisan movement led by nearly 600 businesses with the goal of increasing voter participation in the U.S.
I mentioned Walmart. We also have Target, Best Buy, Visa, Deloitte, JP Morgan Chase, Twitter, Uber, Lyft. You think of these companies and how many people they employ and the range of from blue collar to white collar, we're going to have a far larger impact.
Such company involvement is crucial, given that 35% of voters have cited scheduling conflicts with work as a primary factor that keeps them from the polls. U.S. elections are traditionally held on a Tuesday, a normal workday.
There's a real role that companies can play in this moment to give their workers the space and opportunity to vote, as well as to leverage their brands and platforms to create a culture of civic participation.
Vote.org works with companies like Patagonia to implement vote-friendly policies and practices.
That's a combination of removing work-related barriers, but also proactively providing voting information and resources to their employees.
In June, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said his company will be helping 4 million people register to vote.
And that includes information on voter registration, voting by mail, and early voting.
And Uber recently announced that in addition to giving its salaried employees the day off on Election Day, it's providing resources on the Uber and Uber Eats platforms to help people register to vote and get to the polls, and plans to feed people in line. The sheer number of companies that are encouraging and enabling Americans to vote is unprecedented, says Gilbert, and she'd like to see more.
We'd love to see the 100 million people that sat out in the last election show up to vote this year, and figuring out ways that we can systematically tackle and dismantle and remove any of those barriers is critical work that we want to see done in the next 100 days.
Julie Tabo, VOA News, Washington.